All right, today is the day and it is early Thursday morning, and up until just about 2 minutes ago I did not have a video ready because we had to get a final epoxy cure to do a little trimming to see if our results were successful. But I'm dedicated to making sure I bring a video to you every Thursday. Last night when I was working on this, I was questioning whether I was going to be dedicated to getting a video out every Thursday and wondering whether one day I'm going to break that cycle. But we're going to see how long we can go anyway without doing that and trying to get that video every Thursday. Well, we have just had a really hectic week doing lots of things here and there, most of it outside of working on the Arete, sorry to say, but we did get a video for you. We are going to look at putting the little box for the air filter so that we can start hooking up some engine. Of course, everybody's excited about getting that thing running, nobody more than me. But anyway, let's go take a look at what we did. Now we have already extended this air duct back into the engine compartment with the piece of polyurethane foam and a couple of fiberglass layers, but I need to trim a little section out of it so that we can tip that air cleaner down out of the way of the rear clamshell when it comes down to closes. That'll also point it towards the turbochargers, get the ductwork ready to go onto the turbochargers. So here's the cutout, so this needs to sit right about this position. And now I need to kind of create a form, know what's going to go in there. So the easiest way to do this, of course, with some heavy cardstock paper, then I can just use a pair of scissors and do lots of trimming, lots of checking, rather than going to the sheet metal, which we're actually going to use for our form to do our lamination against. I will just transfer that paper template over to the sheet metal once we've got it all figured out. Like I says, trial and error a lot easier on a piece of paper rather than trimming the sheet metal. Now laying a piece of a ruler here, a little piece of aluminum sheet here across to kind of show where the clamshell will be, the lowest part, so I can test, make sure my air cleaner is clear in that. And also need to cut a little piece that the kind of a half circle that rubber tube on the end of the air cleaner will go through, hooked to the plumbing on the backside. And once I have those two pieces, we're going to fit them together and try it out there. Looking right about that. Now that I know that the fit is good, I'm going to take my templates apart and go ahead and move over and transfer that to the sheet metal. Now the sheet metal, this is probably a piece of 20 gauge galvanized sheet metal, so pretty heavy for this job. Wouldn't need quite that much, but it does create a good smooth curve when trying to roll it. A little lighter sheet metal tends to kink a little bit, so you get kind of a roll with little curves on it. Of course, if you had a roller system, you could take that out of the equation, but here we're going to be bending this by hand, and this little heavier sheet metal, like I said, curves nicely. Now we're going to go over and of course try it again, and I see there's a little bit of fit problems even with the sheet metal, so trim those a little bit. Keep adding our curve. Once we got it, our little crescent, that's of course easy. I did not cut the big hole in the crescent because I will go ahead and put the fiberglass right over the hole and trim it out in the very end after all this thing's laminated together. And once we get it there, one more trial fit, we can see that the rear clamshell is going to clear again. Looking good. I did notice though a little bit more trimming needs to go on that, a little extension into the engine compartment. So we'll just zip it right off. And last thing to do, be ready to laminate this thing, is put some releasing agent on our sheet metal so that we don't get our epoxy bonding right to that thing and have to leave it in the car forever. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and scuff up the fiberglass for that little extension piece going in there so that we can get our fiberglass to bond to it really well. And then we're going to have to take this sheet metal form and get it propped in there, supported some way so that we can work and at least push enough pressure on it to run our brush on it over and over. Now we've laid some resin on, getting going on this thing, And we're gonna put 4 layers of this twill fabric on there, using a twill so that we can get it to make the transition from our plane coming through the duct on the side, and make the turn going down onto our form, and then turning up onto that back plate, that back little half crescent. Like that, 4 layers. Now this is the pretty lightweight lamination here, and like a lot of these pieces that I'm adding, I will be going back and I'll turn the tub over one day and do the backside, laminate from the backside. Going with the 4 layers allows me to keep it nice and smooth in there so that I don't have a lot of finishing to do on the top surface that'll be seen. But we can put our heavy laminations on the back, and if that ends up being a little rougher, that's okay. It'll be on the backside where it will be invisible. Well, invisible is a word that's probably not true. A place that won't be seen very often. Anyway, we'll get these 4 layers on and this thing going for a cure. Now this is late at night, and I'm gonna just let it go for about 6.5 hours before I came back the next day to check on our work. Next day, it's not completely cured. It's still a little green, a little soft, but that's okay. It will, by the shape of this thing, it'll stay in position. But we're gonna go ahead and trim it down, take off all this extra fiberglass that we've left lapped over. Clean it up a little bit. Like I said, it's a little bit flexible, but next time we laminate from the backside, this thing will be completely rigid. And there's where it's going to sit. And we'll give you another view with the clamshell on, air through there. There we go. We have a good and clean and cool air flow through that vent right into our air filter box. That should provide us now a kind of a setup so that we can start building the plumbing to go from the air filter itself down to the turbo intake side. That will be another day, but thank you for stopping today and seeing us. We hope you come back to see us again. And of course, if you have not, please go down below, subscribe to the channel, ring the little bell icon if you want to be notified when these videos come up so you can see the other projects associated with this, the Arete project. And of course, we have the Leviathan project going as well, if you're interested in off-road and overlanding, that kind of thing. But like I said, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you again next week.